game because they're
Yep.
the Friday game.
Yes, it is. And a good evening and welcome to the first round CFP 2024 Pits and Analysis, a very special edition from yours truly, Jackson Johnson, and my partner in crime, Austin Williams from Sports Talk with Austin, as we go over our take on what is going on in the 2024 edition of the first round playoffs. We are sorry about showing up really late. There are some technical difficulties on my end, but no worries. It's all fixed. It's all taken care of. We've got it squared
Yes,
away. And we want to
yes,
assure you, you've got a great show ahead of you. How you doing
yes.
tonight, Austin?
I'm doing pretty good, Jackson. I'm excited. It's a new era in college football. Looking forward to talking about it. And Jackson, this has been the conversation for almost 3 weeks now. The 12 teams have been decided. We're going to talk about it, and it's time to pick the games. The new era is here, and I
Yep.
think it's here to stay.
Well, they'll probably get another era going, but that's another time for another night.
Yes, but I'm looking forward to it though. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. Just get ready for a holly jolly Christmas.
Yes, and
Chestnut
Jackson,
broken on an open fire.
well, Jackson, well, I'm glad you pulled that up. Go for it, good buddy. Go for it.
We got the first round game between the Indiana Hoosiers and the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. And I'll tell you a little fun fact. This is the first home game for NBC. I mean, for Notre Dame that's not on NBC for the
Yes.
first time since 1990. That was when Notre
Mm-hmm.
Dame played against Penn State in November 17th. They lost that
Mm-hmm.
match by a touchdown, unfortunately, for the Fighting Irish. As for Indiana, they're looking to make some history against Notre Dame.
Mm-hmm. I want to say this. I'm sure a lot of people have heard this over and over again, but I want to say this real fast, Jack. For anybody that's new or don't know how this works. These are just the first round games of this series, meaning that you got the 7-10, you got the 5-12, the 6-11, and the 8-9. That's the first round, and they'll each play the winners of the auto bids, which the winner of this game will play Georgia in the Peach Bowl, I think. Right, Jackson? No. Is that right, Jackson? The
Yeah,
winner of this plays Georgia?
the winner is going to play Georgia in that
Yes.
case in the Sugar Bowl.
Yeah. In the Sugar Bowl, my bad. The Boise's in the Peach, I think. No, they're the Fiat. Yeah, I'll get it right eventually. The winner plays Georgia.
Boise's in the Fiesta Bowl, Oregon's in the Rose Bowl, and Arizona State's in the Peach Bowl.
Yes. But the winner of this game gets Georgia. And I'll say this, Jackson. Like you said, this is the first one. As we know, the TV contracts, Notre Dame, NBC, every Notre Dame game is either on Peacock or NBC. Well, now with the playoffs, ESPN gets a little bit of the action. And you could say what you want about Indiana, how they had a soft schedule. They didn't play anybody really good. And then when they did, they showed who they really were. I'll say this about Indiana: love them, hate them, indifferent. They did what they were supposed to throughout the year. They beat up on all the bad teams. They took them to task. And they ended up beating Michigan, which turned out to be a better win as after they beat Ohio State. So they do have that in their back pocket. But when they played a team like Ohio State, they got run out of the building. Their special teams let them down. It was a whole big mess. And this is what concerns me. And I know people are worried about the weather. Indiana's not worried about the weather. Have you seen the state of Indiana this time of year? It's snowing and cold. They don't care. Like people are
Freezing,
saying,
freezing.
people people are saying, "Oh, Indiana's got to come up to South Bend where it's cold. It's going to snow. Where we're going to have wind." They're in your same state. They're not worried about it. They're ready to play in it. It'd be one thing if you're playing like in Alabama or something, or a warmer weather team, then I would say okay, like in Oregon maybe. But it's like Indiana plays in this weather all the time, year round, when it comes to football, and that's not going to affect them. And my thing for this game is, Jackson, I'll say this: Indiana's defensive line, they could get after the quarterback, they could create pressure. But Notre Dame's O line, even though it's banged up, I still think that that's going to be the key. Who wins the trenches? Because if Notre Dame gets the running game going, Riley Leonard, if they get that going, it could be a long day for the Hoosiers. And a lot of, and I'll say this, and our good buddy Jeffrey from Only Talk Sports has mentioned this. Indiana, they got to start fast because if Notre Dame gets an early lead on them and gets ahead, it's going to be a ground and pound, rough it, tough it, beat them up type game, and that's what Notre Dame wants you to be. They want you to play their football, and if you're not built for that, they're gonna run you across the yard with it. And for Indiana, I don't think they can. I don't think that they have the horses to do that for 48 minutes. I think they got to get up 10, 10 nothing, 14 nothing, get up early and make Riley Leonard have to throw the ball. That's how they're going to win this game, in my opinion. If Indiana gets up 10 nothing, and Riley Leonard has to start throwing, Indiana's got a great shot to win it. And if Indiana's special teams cannot make mistakes, Indiana has a great chance to win this game. What do you think, Jackson? What do you think the keys are for both teams to win these games?
Well, I mean, Notre Dame is going to have to really make sure they get their passing game going against Indiana. And of course, it's going to have to, and Indiana's going to have to do what they couldn't do against Ohio State. So that's going to be rough on their end.
Yeah, I think honestly, Jackson, you could speak on this. Tell me if I'm speaking out of term here, but do you think if Indiana doesn't win the turnover battle, that they'll have no chance in this game? Like it's going to come down to turnovers and them making less mistakes. That's basically the keys to. That's keys for them to win.
Oh yeah, but I mean they've done very well on their scoring defense. I mean it's like they're one of the top 6 teams that ranked in points allowed per game. So that's pretty good right there.
And it's one of them things too, Jackson. They'll say, well, it was against pedestrian competition. What do you expect? Here's what I say, and you'll probably agree with me, Jackson. You can only play who's on your schedule. That's how I look at it. Indiana didn't make the schedule. They can't say, oh, we want to play all these Big Ten teams, and that's it. The Big Ten made the schedule for them, and they went out and won the games they were supposed to. Now, with the data points that we have, you could say they're not a very strong team, and I would tend to agree, but they only played who was on their schedule.
Yep.
And I got to say this too, Jackson. Were we too quick to throw the baby out with the bathwater on Notre Dame after that NIU loss?
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's like our buddy Jeffrey says, it's all about perception.
Because I remember at one point in time, Jackson, you were throwing a hissy fit on air about them losing that game.
Oh, I
because
did.
you were upset how they got too overconfident about beating Texas A&M on Saturday night with Kurt Herbstreit calling their game.
I wasn't so much upset for me. I was more upset for my buzzer beater co-star Will and D. Hint, hint. That's the new name for the college basketball recap preview show.
I like it. There you go. Hint, hint. But yeah, you ought to go back and watch that final whistle. You'll see Jackson. Go ahead, Jackson. Take it away.
I was so mad. I was just mad. I believe I was mad on After Dark as well. I wasn't too happy about it.
If I may steal the line, you can't be pigeon pooping on the chest drawer over Kurt Herbstreit calling your game. I think it's your
Yeah.
exact words or something to that effect.
Something like that, but
But since then, Notre Dame has been playing very good football.
well,
But
I've had my rants towards other teams, but we won't name who they are.
not yet, at least. Not yet. We'll keep you waiting on that. But Jackson, here's
We'll
my
name it
question.
next year.
Next year. Yeah, you'll have to come back next year. Jackson's going to make you wait a whole year for that. Let me ask you this, Jackson. Is this everyone's waiting on Notre Dame to blow it? Is this the time?
That's a good question because ever since 1990, the last time they won a big game in the postseason was in 1993 in the 1994 Cotton Bowl against Texas A&M. Ever since then, they could not get it done. They couldn't get it done in the BCS era against Oregon State or LSU or against Alabama. They couldn't get it done against the Ohio State Buckeyes. Then the CFP era rolls around. They can't get it done in a New Year's Six Bowl. They can't get it done in a playoff game. They can't get it done. They couldn't get it done in the Fiesta Bowl against Oklahoma State. They blew that game.
Mm-hmm.
And here's the thing. Marcus Freeman, if Notre Dame can win this game against Indiana, he would have really eclipsed Brian Kelly.
Oh no, not him again.
Well,
not that again.
He'll eclipse it by a little bit. But if they were to beat Georgia in the quarterfinals after they were to beat Indiana, then yeah, he's really eclipsed Brian Kelly. But it would just take a few more seasons of doing the same thing over and over again. You know who Notre Dame is similar to?
Who's that?
Clemson when Dabo Swinney was first there.
That's an interesting analogy.
Yeah, because like Clemson had like this historical reputation. After Danny Ford, left Clemson in the late 80s, Clemson had this reputation where they couldn't get it done in the big games, in conference play or in non-conference play. So Dabo Swinney takes over, and they get better and better at winning the big games. 2011, they won the ACC, but they couldn't get it done in the Orange Bowl. They got smacked around by West Virginia. Year later, they're 10-2. They win a big one in the Peach Bowl. Okay, that's not impressive. But then they go 10-2 again, 2013. Then they go to the Orange Bowl to play against Ohio State. What do? They beat the Ohio State Buckeyes. Well, now this team looks like they could win the big game, but they still can't beat South Carolina. 2014, they end the losing streak against South Carolina. Point being, I'm saying that Notre Dame and Marcus Freeman are in that similar boat to when Dabo Swinney was first there at Clemson. And they win the big game.
I like your analogy on that, Jack. But part of me is still like, so I'll be honest with you, Jackson. I've done some research on this. Like, you look at Notre Dame's history, like you said, in the big ones. And I give you all the credit in the world for your outlines on Dabo and Marcus Freeman. I think it's just more than Marcus Freeman, Jackson. I think it's Notre Dame as a program as a whole. I just can't trust them because I'm just waiting on them. I'm like, okay, Notre Dame, you had your slip up. We're waiting for another one.
You might balk at this comparison. Nah, yeah, in a way that they're kind of like the Dallas Cowboys of college football. They're the brand they're the brand that everybody hates and complains and gripes about. They can't quite win the big one. They can't get it done. At least that's their reputation.
Mm-hmm. And SEC football says Notre Dame hasn't won a postseason big game since 1992.
Yeah. Yeah, Lou Holtz was the last coach to lead them to a postseason big game victory.
Mm-hmm. And I want to mention this before we make our picks on this game, Jack. Here's the thing. If Notre Dame had drawn anybody else, I would have gone with the opposition. But they drew Indiana out of all teams. And don't get me wrong, I think Indiana's a good team. Do I think they're a college football playoff team? I see arguments on both ends of the spectrum. To be honest with you, Jack, if they had drawn anybody else, like I said, I would have gone with the opposition and not even thought about it. But the fact that they're playing Indiana, I don't know how much truly Indiana's ready for this big moment. Is Signetti the guy? Is Indiana ready for the big game when the lights are on the brightest? Because this is the biggest game in Indiana history, in my opinion. No bigger game than this one right here. Because they win this, Curtis Ward, Signetti, they're going to get a statue out of it. They're going to be put in the Indiana Hall of Fame. How are they going to hold up against the lights?
It's a good question. I want to see, both these teams are very likable, at least for me. I love what Notre Dame has done since they lost to Northern Illinois. They were like, you know what? We screwed up big time.
Mm-hmm.
This is a gut check moment. And what happened was they smashed everybody off the face of the earth after that.
Mm-hmm.
And I get that the schedule, everybody's kind of gone at their schedule, but they didn't plan on Florida State having a disastrous season. They didn't plan on Purdue being a nightmare. They didn't plan on A&M going 8-4. They didn't plan on Louisville going 8-4. They didn't plan on Georgia Tech being 7-5. They didn't think USC was going to go 6-6. Notre Dame usually has one of the toughest schedules in all of college football, and and it's like I feel like people like to criticize them a lot because they're like a blue blood. They're the independent, and here's the thing though, and if you look back in college football history, they actually wanted to be in a conference. They wanted to be in the Big Ten, but they were rejected. So ever since then, conference has been trying to get them to join their conference, and then it's like, no, you had your chance. Now scram. It's kind of like the high school geek that was rejected by the hot girl in high school.
Oh,
you didn't want to go to prom with him, but now the geek is a good-looking guy who's got 6 packs, got his act together, got the money made the wise investment, and now the hot girl from high school is basically is the Pillsbury biscuit can. She's like, "Oh, you remember me from high school? Oh my god!" It's like, no, you had your chance.
I love that analogy, Jackson. I really do. That's a great analogy. But Jason O says, well, they should have planned on Texas A&M going 8-4. Yeah, that's true. With Texas A&M, their ceiling, their ceiling is 8-4, 9-3. But
or if boys don't like that analogy, that's okay. I mean, there's also the cool guy in high school that's the bad boy with the toothpick and the sunglasses, stuff like that. And
what is this?
The girl that wasn't like the popular girl, but is now like the big dog in her mid-20s, while the bad boy with the toothpick and the sunglasses did the mess around with a bunch of women and had like 4 to 5 kids with 3 different women. And life's not going well for him. So So that's basically all the conferences that are griping at Notre Dame for not being in a conference, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Or
And SEC football, Jackson makes a fantastic point. Notre Dame talent-wise overwhelms Indiana on paper. And that's true. But the problem is we don't play this game on paper. We play this on the field.
Mhm.
And I've said this multiple times to Jackson. I've said it multiple times to people. Indiana can win this game. They absolutely can. And it's one game. What happens if Indiana blocks 2 field goals and returns both of them? Or gets a pick six? Fluky things can happen. I always say this, and Jackson, I think you'll agree with me. The most legitimate sport, in my opinion, is the NBA playoffs because you've got 7 games to beat someone 4 times. To me, they're the most legitimate outcome possible because if you beat a team 4 times, what else can you say? That's not a fluke. You're just that much better.
Yep.
With this, it's one game. Anything can happen.
Yep.
Anything. We could have another kick 6 in this game. And would that happen the second time around? Probably not. That's why, in my opinion, I've always said the NBA playoffs are the most legitimate because you got 7 games to prove you're the best. I love this format, don't get me wrong, but if you want legitimacy, that's how you get it. But go ahead,
Yep.
Jackson, go ahead.
But yeah, it'll be a wild ride to see what happens between the Notre Dame Fighting Irish and the Indiana Hoosiers. But if Indiana was to beat Notre Dame in South Bend, Indiana, it'll be the first time since 1899 that it's happened.
Mm-hmm.
Kid you not, 1899. That's not even when our great grandparents were alive.
Oh my gosh. That was before the Great Depression, probably.
Yep, before the Great Depression, before World War One, before the Spanish flu, before the MLB, and some of college football was starting by that time. 30 years after the first official college football game between Rutgers and Princeton.
Well, I'll say this, Jackson. I mean, we both made a lot of great points about this, but I will say, I've got my pick. Do you got yours?
Yes.
Do you want me to pick first or you want
You
me to
pick
pick?
first.
Okay. You're picking first on the next one then.
Beauty before age, man. Beauty before age.
Okay. I got you. Okay. So with everything that we just said, I'm gonna go Notre Dame. And here's what I think's gonna happen. I think Notre Dame's gonna win. They're gonna do it in the trenches. I think their defense is gonna slow down Indiana offense. They're back in with not Benjamin Morrison. He's out for the year. They're back in. Their corners and safeties, I think, will be able to stop Indiana from getting their explosives. And I feel like Curtis Rourke's going to be feeling the heat all night long. I'm going to go Notre Dame 24-17.
I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go Notre. You know what? I'm gonna chance it.
Jackson, are you going to do it? Are you
I'm
starting the
gonna
night
have
off
to
bold?
because I feel like Notre Dame's just gonna disappoint me again. So it's like I'm gonna go Indiana 24-21.
Oh boy. What a way to start the night. I can only imagine what's waiting for us these next 3 games.
And we got the SMU Mustangs going up against the Penn State Nittany Lions on TNT and HB and Mats. Well, I call it HBO Mats still, but whatever.
And
David
this is the
David Zasloff doesn't know what the hell he's doing. He should have us run Warner Brothers.
And for context, this is the 11 versus the 6 game, and the winner of this game will play Boise State in the quarterfinals. Which we just for context, we're not picking the quarterfinals tonight. We're going to keep you waiting on that. We're going to do that next week.
Yeah.
Don't you worry. We're gonna pick us a champion. And everything. We're gonna hold our feet to the fire. But I'll let you start on this one, Jackson. What what do you think about this game?
You
What's
know,
your feeling?
the SMU Mustangs, I felt like they were going to get screwed over for a moment, but I think a lot of people on ESPN realized they were the better PR story than Alabama get me in. I think they realized that because it was like if there wasn't any pressure to put SMU in the playoffs, it'd have been, you know what, we're putting Alabama in. But that's not what we're here to talk about. We're talking about SMU's destiny. Because like this is their first season in the ACC. Week 2 after they lost to BYU. It was all about how they don't belong in the ACC. They're a disaster. They suck. Well, they kept winning out, winning out, winning out.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of their games. And yeah, they lost the ACC title game to Clemson. And, they impressed everyone that night with their comeback against Clemson. And it impressed Sean Madonna to the point where he was saying to Greg McElroy, I've seen enough. SMU should be in. And then even
Mm-hmm.
when Clemson beat SMU, Dabo was pushing for him to get in. Because I think
Mm-hmm.
because it was like the ACC realized we screwed up with Florida State. We're not going to do this again.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So,
And I want to go ahead, buddy. Go ahead.
but yeah, like this team has been great this year. Like SMU, it was like, oh well, they couldn't get done the AC. Well, they were able to get done. I love the magic that what this team could pull out. I mean, they smashed
Mm-hmm.
the beat pieces. They showed Duke who is the boss in overtime, and I can tell you right now, this team is fantastic. I'm
Mm-hmm.
loving. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens. But the Penn State Nittany Lions, my God,
Mm-hmm.
they couldn't get it done in the big game once again. That's their reputation, right? They can't get it
Mm-hmm.
done in the big one. This
Mm-hmm.
slate looks pretty easy on paper. But we play these games on the field, and yo, traveling fools, how you doing tonight, good buddy? Anyway,
Oh, by the way, traveling fools, are you going to get tickets to Miami's playoff game? Oh, that's right. They didn't make
oh
the cut
God, so,
because they're not good enough. They didn't. They didn't make the cut. I'm sorry, Jackson. Back to you. Back to you. I'm sorry, traveling fools. I had to. I had to. I'm sorry. Very
oh
out of
man.
character. Manners. Manners. Go ahead, Jackson.
Alright.
Bad
Yeah,
manners.
Kevin Jennings has been pretty good. Brashard Smith has been fantastic this season. Um, there's plenty more. Cubby Wilson's been pretty good on defense. Hey, Ralph, how you doing tonight?
What's up,
Anyway,
Ralph? I got the crowd stirred up. I love travel fools. I love to pick on him. He beat my team, so I got to have some joy. Go ahead though, Jackson. Go
there you
ahead.
go. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see what the SMU Mustangs bring this year. But I mean, I think like the 2024 season was a success for them enough. But I think the future question is going to be can they keep Rhett Lashley happy? Will he be happy being leading the premier Texas team in the ACC? And I got to be honest with you, SMU in the ACC feels similar to when TCU was first in the Big 12. Matter of fact, this feels similar to when TCU was in the Mount West, smashing everybody bits and pieces when Gary Patterson was their head coach. When
Mm-hmm.
they were in that conference from 2005 to 2011. I got to tell you,
Mm-hmm.
you don't want to mess with a TCU team with Gary Patterson. And I say the same thing with SMU and Rhett Lashley. You don't want to mess with an SMU team with Rhett Lashley. And, as I said about Penn State, they can't get it done in the big games usually. And it
Mm-hmm.
looks like they've got an easy slate. Something they can't screw up, right? I mean, beat SMU, beat Boise State. You're good to go. Now, if Penn State was to lose to SMU, is
Oh
there
boy.
a hot seat for James Franklin?
I it I don't think so, Jackson, because He did, even though they did lose the game, they did go to the Big Ten championship. They've won a Big Ten title with him. They've had multiple 10-win seasons. I understand at Penn State you're expected of excellence, but at the same time, who would you get to replace him? It's almost the Ryan Day situation, in my opinion. And even Mark Rogers at the Voice of College Football has even said, even if they lose to SMU, he doesn't even believe that they would just part ways with him. Not after the year he's had this year.
Oh, I didn't say part ways. I said a hot seat going into 2025.
Well, that too. But I don't think he's even on a hot seat, to be honest with you, Jackson. I think he'll be there until he decides to retire, to be honest with you. At Penn State, as long as they go 10-2 and make the playoffs every year, I think they're going to be happy with him, in my opinion, in my humble opinion. I could be way off target, but that's just my opinion.
Well, I'll be honest, because I'm mad about their non-con schedule being easy. I hope Oregon smashes them, and I hope Ohio State beats them again. And I hope they lose again. Because
Jackson holds grudges.
Oh yeah. If my own team starts doing that crap where they're getting rid of Power 4 non-con games because it's too tough or whatever, which I know our AD said that, I'm gonna be mad.
Jackson's going to hold a grudge. Keep that in mind, ladies, if you want to marry this man. If you go out and cheat on him, he holds a grudge. So just keep that in mind. You see he's holding a grudge against Penn State for scheduling Villanova. So just imagine. But in all seriousness,
they don't have Pittsburgh annually. That's what makes me mad.
I'll say this, Jackson. In all seriousness, though, you mentioned SMU, how they ran through everybody. I'll say this, Jackson. After they made the quarterback change with Preston Stone and inserted Kevin Jennings, it injected life into that offense.
Oh yeah.
You noticed a big difference. And hence why Preston Stone has entered the transfer portal and he's decided, I don't care that they made the playoffs. I don't want to be here anymore. I'm not happy. And that really turned their season around because it was the BYU game. They put Jennings in, I think, second half, and they ended up losing that game. But they stuck with him the rest of the way, and they just kept winning big game after big game and kept blowing people out. Their two closest games after that was Louisville, Duke, and then, of course, the ACC title game. They were blowing people off the map. And SMU, Jackson, they're not a team to be taken lightly, like you said, especially with Rhett Lashley.
Yeah.
And I know after that Nevada game, I remember everyone had the overreaction, be like, oh, SMU's not going to survive in a P4 conference. It's not even one as bad as the ACC. And it's just like, it was week 0, guys. Chill out. And I get it. We love to overreact, just like Oregon with the Idaho and then the Boise game. I know I did. And then when they played Ohio State, then I was like, okay, this is the Oregon team I'm waiting on. But I think that was the case with SMU. A lot of people just overreacted way too fast. And like you said, though, Jackson, to Penn State, I really love what they got on defense. Abdul Carter, wearing number 11, I think he's going to be a top 10 draft pick. He's really good. He's Micah Parsons level talented. And I like their offense, Jackson. Their offense is really good. But Drew Aller, he just makes some of the worst decisions at the worst time. Oh, my goodness. Especially in that Oregon game. Goodness gracious. But I'll say this, Jackson. Are you excited about the fact that we're going to get a playoff atmosphere type game on Saturday in Happy Valley? Well, are you excited about that? I'm like a kid on Christmas.
Hey, I mean, it's like all I could say is happy, joy, man. It's gonna be fun. Yo, Tim, how you doing tonight, man?
What's up, Tim? Where's USC at in this thing? Oh, that's right.
Oh, don't.
No, I'm just
Oh,
kidding.
man. Yeah.
I love Tim to death. It's okay, Tim. It's okay. I
Oh,
still love
man.
you, Tim.
Check out the magic that Tim Pringle is creating on the LAFB network and on USC at the Voice of College Football. Stay tuned for more magic he's got coming up.
I love Tim and Traveling Fools to death. I'm in a good mood tonight, as y'all could tell. I'm having fun, and I'm just having fun being myself. But
No.
Jackson, if there's one complaint I'm going to make about this, why in the heck is this not a night game?
I don't care.
I do. I want to see a whiteout playoff atmosphere at night. I get it. Oh, I get it. Ohio State's your bread maker, and you gotta get the primetime rating. But dang it, we need the whiteout at night. It's not the same at noon.
You make
Like,
a very
come on.
You make a very compelling case.
Come on, David Zasloff. Jackson
Sustain.
could make a better schedule than you. Come on, Zasloff.
You're right.
But
You're right. Switch Notre Dame, Indiana to Saturday at 11 a.m. and make Penn State SMU the Friday game. Have Sean McDonough call the game.
yes, and we can hear, and it works out both ways, Jackson, because we can hear touchdown, Penn State.
Yeah, I mean, they don't want to hear that idiot Jesse Palmer. You know, where I don't want because I mean I don't dislike the guy, but he gets on my last nerves. He's not sitting there thinking about the game that he's calling. He wasn't even thinking about the history of Georgia Tech. He's more worried about the stupid moron,
Bachelor.
the Bachelor, talking about the cutest boys on the planet and the cutest girls on the planet, or these little bake-off challenges on Food Network.
Well, Joe Tessitore is over here trying to inform the masses that Georgia's in the playoffs.
Like, yeah, I'm just like, seriously, Palmer, either focus on the game, quit. It's like, I mean,
oh my gosh,
yummy foods are awesome, but if I got to choose between Food Network and calling a college football game or an NFL game and studying the history of the game, I say hell no to Food Network. I'm talking about studying the history of Georgia Tech, or USC, UCLA, or Baylor, TCU. First chance I get. I'm not missing out on those games. No, doesn't matter if it's a big one or a small one. Doesn't matter. I'm not doing some damn stupid Food Network show. I'm not there to talk about the cutest boys on the planet. Oh my God, it's like, oh.
Yeah, Jackson. People are going to be like, "What the heck did we just walk into?"
I mean, if the place fits, that's just what it does.
Oh my gosh!
Oh my God, Starla, what'd you think about Timothy? It's like, we don't care. We don't freaking care. We don't care. We want to hear his take on Georgia Tech because, well, I don't know, because he's a former Florida quarterback that played under Steve Spurrier. He's just only there because he's got good looks. Take out the fact that he's got good looks, good slick hair, and all that. He wouldn't be having all these little rinky-dink shows. That I can guarantee
you. Well, now back to the Penn State playoff atmosphere.
I went on a Jesse Palmer rant. It's like
it's okay, Jackson. You put up with my rants.
He is so bad at his job. He is so incompetent. Like fire that moron and bring back RG3. Bring his ass back. Now, RG3 gives a rat's behind about the game of college football and pro football. You may not agree with how he views certain things like in life or politics or whatever, but this guy is a go-to in all of football.
Yes.
Jesse Palmer, he's just worried about stupid things. You ask him about the history of Georgia Tech, he couldn't tell you. He couldn't tell you.
I'll say this though, Jackson. You know what, Jackson? No matter who's calling the game, we're still going to be paying attention to it.
Exactly.
So, with all that's being said, though, good buddy, who who's your pick for SMU Penn State? Since I picked last on the first one, you get to be put on the hot seat first. Is there an upset brewing on Saturday?
No. I think Penn State is going to win this one 31-20.
I'm going to go Penn State too. I think their defense will contain Kevin Jennings. And I think their offense, even though it's a big game, Penn State is at home, and that gives them a slight edge. I'll go Penn State 31-21. I think they'll win by 10.
Here we go. And we got the Clemson Tigers and the Texas Longhorns in their first ever meeting in school history.
In the 5-12 game. And the winner of this will play Arizona State.
That's gonna be magic. That game is fire right there. I'm loving it.
So obviously, Jackson, let's talk about the elephant in the room. And no, ma'am, we are not talking about your Alabama Crimson Tide. We're not talking about them. So you can get that out of your system now. Let's talk about Clemson, Jackson, because they kind of had to sneak their way in, so to speak. And a certain Syracuse Orangeman might be getting a basket of flowers at his front door from Mr. Dabo Sweetie for this favor.
There you go.
Take it away, good buddy.
Yeah, it looked like all hopes were lost. Well, I mean, here we kid. It wouldn't have mattered. Like, they beat South Carolina, but it looked like they would have been in as an at-large. But they lost to South Carolina. Their playoff hopes are all but dead, right? Well, Syracuse decides, you know what? We're gonna help a brother out. But, we're helping ourselves because we want to upset Miami in our own backyard. They do that. What happens? Clemson gets in the ACC title game. After a loss to South Carolina, they needed a boost. They're in the ACC title game. And, of course, they show everybody, we're all right. We're back. And get this. They're even getting players from the transfer portal.
Oh.
One guy. So I think Dabo is realizing, I'm only appealing to the old men on Facebook, but that's it. And I'm not going to survive in coaching by being a venting session on Facebook.
Oh, Lord. But I'll say this, Jackson. Clemson had a lot of things go their way, like you mentioned. A lot of things break their way. And a lot of people debated, Jackson, should Clemson have gotten the bye over Boise or Arizona State? And I know a lot of people are upset that Boise got one of the byes. They were like, Boise plays in the Mountain West. This is not right. This is not fair. We need to fix this system. It's bad. Here's the thing. Clemson's 10-3. And I get it. They're in a P4 conference. And I've defended the ACC quite a bit. But here's the thing. They're 10-3. Boise's only got one loss, and that was to Oregon. And we can go on all night, go round and round the merry-go-round about who gets the bye, who shouldn't. And I'm sure we'll even do it after the whole thing's over with. The thing is, Clemson, you also got to think, they were down there in the rankings. And the committee had to be fair to all parties involved. They couldn't just be like, oh, well, you're Clemson. Let's just jump you over Arizona State or Boise, who's ahead of you in the rankings. And that's the thing, too. And I get why they did that. And some people may disagree and say that's not right, yada, yada, yada. But here we are. Clemson is 12 seed, and they're going to play Texas. As for Texas, though, Jackson, I'll say this. they've got a quarterback competition brewing between Arch Manning and Quentin Ewers. What do you think, Jackson? Is Sark going to ride it out, or
I think
what do
Sark's
you think?
riding it out. I think he's going to ride it out with Quinn Ewers. But of course,
I got
2025, it's all the start of Arch Manning.
and I'll say this, Jackson. For me, I know a lot of people are probably going to pick Texas in this game, and I don't blame them. Don't count Clemson out. I think Clemson's a very good football team. They got a chance to win this game, in my opinion. Not a very big chance, but they've got a chance. Because Kate Klubnik, a season-defining play. If you watch that Pittsburgh game, the biggest run of his career, thus it's a altering play in the college football season. Because if Clemson doesn't beat Pitt, they're not here right now. The whole thing could flip on its head just like that. Clemson, don't sleep on them. And it may sound homerish because, of course, the ACC, but don't sleep on them. Don't sleep on them because you overlook them. That's what Dabo wants you to do. That's where Dabo thrives. And I'll say this, Dabo is a two-time national champion for a reason. Steve Sarkisian has only been to this dance once. Dabo's been here. Dabo's the man when it comes to these type games. I know Jackson may argue for Texas, but I mean that's the thing. Dabo's been here. He's got the experience. He knows what he's doing. And on paper, Texas, just like the Notre Dame Indiana situation, on paper Texas is the more talented team. But Quentin Ewers has been off here recently. And if Clemson's defense, they've been getting stingy with them turnovers and physical body shots after body shots on these quarterbacks. And Ewers, you saw what happened in that Georgia game. They roughed him up, and even though he let him down the field late in that game, it affected him ultimately coming down the stretch. If Clemson could do that, they've got a shot to win this game. What do you think, Jackson?
I think that this is going to be a good one. This game is basically a toss-up, and we're on wait and see mode what happens. It would not surprise me if Texas won this one, but at the same time, it would surprise me if Clemson won this one as well.
Mm-hmm. Well, let me ask you this, Jackson. What are the keys for you to get Clemson this W? Like for you, what do you need to see in order to believe Clemson can win this game?
Clemson is going to have to get the passing game rolling.
And I'll say this, be careful with Klubnik. He can run. He's got wheels on him. And I really think Texas against mobile quarterbacks have struggled a little bit this year. And I think, honestly, if Klubnik's able to run and be a threat in the passing game, things could get ugly in this game, in my opinion. It could be what turns the tide in Clemson's favor. But Texas D-line, though, is really good at stuffing that. This is going to be one of them games, Jackson. I've almost talked myself into picking an upset, but I'll let you elaborate more on it if you want, or if you want to make your pick.
You can go ahead and make your pick.
Okay. So here's what I'll say, Jackson. After looking over what I've said both times, be honest with you, Jackson. Give me Clemson for the upset. I'm going to go Clemson 34-31. Give me Dabo and Clemson to pull off a first-round shocker in Austin.
I'm going to go with Texas in a 28-17 victory over Clemson.
Oh boy, I've ticked some people off. I see. I'm sorry, but Jackson had a wild hair for Indiana Notre Dame. I got a wild hair for this one. I'm sorry. I just get the sense. I've got a sneaky feeling. I do, and I'll tell you what. I, I'll tell you what. If Clemson doesn't win, I'll take all the back smack that I can handle. I will own up to it. Like it may be a bad pick after Saturday, but I'm gonna ride with them. I'm gonna ride the tiger on. I'm gonna ride that tiger. Dabo, don't let me down, baby.
Here we go. Well, we got the Tennessee Volunteers and the Ohio State Buckeyes right in front of us on ABC ESPN to round out the first round. The Vols, I don't think are
Yes,
under pressure, but I think Ohio State's under more pressure.
yes. This is the 8-9 game, and the winner of this will play Oregon in the Rose Bowl in the quarterfinals. And this is one of them, like you said, Jackson. Have you seen Jackson? The fact that Tennessee fans are buying up all the tickets. Have you seen that?
Oh yeah.
Do Do you think it's going to be an orange out on Saturday?
It's a possibility.
And B Bean says, I heard that. Yeah, there was. I've heard that and seen it going through social media on Facebook, Twitter, and yes, I have TikTok because you got to in this day and age. I, don't even get Jackson started on TikTok.
Oh,
He will go. He'll go in a venting session on that.
eh. I've given up on that hellhole.
And SEC football says, I heard that even from Ohio State president. Yeah, I heard a lot of Tennessee fans are going to be loud and proud in this game. They're going to be rocking. They're excited. And SEC football even said that this is the biggest game that they played in quite some time. Look, and Tennessee, since we've got a Tennessee fan here, I'm kind of curious. SEC football, is this a bigger game than the year y'all played Alabama in 2022 when y'all beat them in Knoxville? Is it bigger than that game? Because that changed the direction of the program after you did that. What are your thoughts on this game, Jackson? Instead of me just rambling, because you're the
Well,
SEC guy, you know more than
well,
me.
'cause I'll be honest with you, it's gonna be the Volunteers. I think will be fine, but we know Ohio State's under a lot of pressure, and because the fact is, yeah, the fact of the matter is they have to win against Tennessee to kind of cool off the pressure for the time being. Right? I mean, you can't be losing 4 straight years to against Michigan and expect everybody to cut you flat. I mean, your seat's
Yeah,
on fire.
agreed. Hey, it could get ugly. And here's the thing: do I think he's going to get fired? Probably not. I mean, let me ask you this, Jackson. Like I asked you with James Franklin, who are you going to get to replace him? Who's going to
Well,
walk right in
I
and,
think
and want to take over that job?
well, there's always somebody wanting to take over Ohio State. I mean, there's going to be plenty of guys that'll be like, "I'll take that job."
And B Bean says Ohio State also had to win against Michigan, but they did not. Ooh, and B Bean says Vrabel, Mike Vrabel. What do you think, Jackson? You think Mike Vrabel would take a college job, or do you think he wants back in the NFL?
Well, nothing surprises me at this point.
Yeah, that's true. Bill Belichick went back to college, shocked us all, but that's another time for another day.
Good
Yeah.
Lord.
And SO says tickets are dirt cheap. First round home games are a bust. That's surprising. I figured, honestly, I thought those would be the most expensive, to be honest, because they're home playoff games. They're the first ones in history, like something to commemorate. And SEC football says, I think the win is more important for Ryan Day than Josh, but as a program, it's bigger for Tennessee. They haven't been on this stage in 20 years. I would agree with that. For coaches, Ryan Day's got to win. But for the program, Tennessee, they win this, they'll be getting 5 stars out the yin yang afterwards. They'll be wanting to come play for Tennessee.
Yeah.
And Jason O said, I just checked Ticketmaster. The tickets aren't nearly as expensive as I thought they would be. Me too. Especially like for Penn State and like Texas. I figured those would be the hottest tickets in town. But I guess not.
Yeah. Agreed.
What do you think about this, Jackson? B Bean says Hype will be more creative on offense than Ohio State. What do you think about that? Do you think Tennessee has got that more let it rip attitude, whereas Ryan Day might be more tense and be like, I don't want to mess up because could be for my coaching job. What do you think? You agree with B Bean on that?
Yeah. I think so too.
So here's what I want to see, Jackson. Tennessee's defense, they haven't, like I said before, they haven't given up a 20-point game except once. Except once. And that was to, of course, Georgia. Even when they lost to Arkansas, they gave up 19. Their defense hasn't allowed a 20-point score except once. And that's very impressive. I believe it's the best in the country, I think. I could be wrong. But their defense is going to come to play. And Ohio State's offense, here's the thing, Jackson. I'm sure Tennessee has watched that Michigan tape very heavily and has looked at it and said, if we get them in a down and dirty, grubby, sticky, filthy type game where we're pushing them around and we're getting after Will Howard and he's making mistakes, that's the kind of game that Tennessee's got to play to win this. If this is a shootout, Ohio State's going to win, in my opinion. I don't think Tennessee has the horses to do it in a shootout. They're good on offense. They're really good. But Jeremiah Smith, Will Howard, and especially with the 2 running back duos that the Bucks have, I just think it'll be too much at the end, in my opinion, if it's a shootout. I don't think it'll be a shootout because both defenses are really good, especially Jack Sawyer for the Buckeyes. He's a great middle linebacker. I like him.
Oh, yeah.
But it's going to come down to, in my opinion, it's going to come down to coaching and quarterback play. Who makes the first mistake?
And
here's the thing. SEC football, what about that point, Jackson? Ohio State doesn't want to get into a physical game with Tennessee. They will lose. You agree with that?
I agree.
You're a Bama man. Talk about that a little more, Jackson. You all have experienced it. What about their physical game?
Well, we saw what Ohio State's O-line looked like against Michigan. That's not a team that can handle the Tennessee Volunteers.
Mm-hmm. And here's the thing, Jackson. Like he said, if this game gets physical, I'm with him. Tennessee will win this game. Because look what they did against your team, Jackson, a team that's flashy and dicey, so to speak. Jalen Milroe can pull out all the maneuver set, if I can say that right, set, and they made it a physical game, and Alabama got beat. Ohio State's got to stick and move. Because if this gets physical and hard hitting, Tennessee's going to go home with the win. I agree. And their defense, this is gonna be one of them games. But go ahead, buddy. Go ahead.
Oh, yeah. I'm curious to see what'll happen, but I just don't see anything good happening for the Buckeyes. Because I mean, Will Howard was overhyped.
And Jackson, in SEC football kind of iterates your point. Tennessee's D line versus Ohio State's O
Whoa.
line. He kind of reiterated your point.
I
And
mean, you
and
can't
correct me if I'm wrong. Oh,
you
go
can't
ahead.
handle Michigan's defense. I don't see how you handle Tennessee's defense.
Well, I'll say this, Jackson. Michigan's defense is no pushover. Let's put that out there. They're no
That's
pushover.
true. Michigan's defense, I'll go as far as say is better, but still though, I don't see them handling Tennessee's defense. It's a
Mm-hmm.
disaster for Ohio State.
And SEC football makes another fantastic point. He says they rotate 15 people on the D line, the deepest in the country. Yeah. And like you said, the Ohio State O line banged up. That could smell trouble in the shoe. And let me ask you this, Jackson. As we sit tonight, what's the O line combination? I know Seth McLaughlin, he's out for the year, but the other guys, are they going to play as we sit tonight on that O line?
Good question. Not hearing anything good or bad, which I mean, no news, bad news for the Buckeyes.
And Ralph Wolf says OSU 38-10. Woo! Okay, that's a steep score there, Ralph. Woo! I wouldn't. Woo! Okay. I hope you're not betting the farm on that because that's a little steep for me. And I know I just picked Clemson and I might be nuts, but I'm not that nuts. Goodness gracious. And he says, when is the last time OSU lost back-to-back home games? I bet it's been over 60 years. Would you happen to know that, Jackson, by chance?
It's gonna take me a little bit to look up, but it's been a minute.
Very say, I don't think it's been anything recent. And this
No.
is at home, even though it might be a Tennessee Orange Owl. He said, put down the Kool-Aid. Oh my goodness, I love you guys. Our fans are the best. But with all that being said, though, Jackson, what about special teams? We haven't talked about them in this matchup. Do you think they're going to come in and play at all?
A little bit. But I mean, it's not going to be at a point where we see a kickoff return or a punt return.
Now I've watched Ohio State. You know, their kicker, he missed a couple field goals in that Michigan game, and they were chip shots. Now SEC football can probably learn me more on Tennessee's kicker, and you probably could too, Jackson. Watching, how good's their kicker? Has he got some distance on him?
Well, he's better.
Like, can he kick far?
He's better than Ohio State.
Okay, like because Tennessee normally don't kick that many field goals. That's why I'm asking. I haven't seen much of him when I've watched their games. That's why I'm asking. Like, general serious question. Like, because Ohio State's kicker, he was missing left and right in that Michigan game. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
You gotta love the Bucknut fans. Oh yeah, we love all of them. We love Iowa. We love Penn State. We love Alabama. We love them all. They're like all. We welcome them all in. But Jackson, if you're ready to make a pick, I'll let you go first on this one. If you don't got anything else,
I've got one.
If you don't got,
I got.
Hold on. If you don't got any other points to make, you got any other points?
No.
Okay. Come on, Jackson. We gotta make the steak sizzle. The steak is not sizzling. Gosh, go ahead.
Well, it's looking like a piece of charcoal. It's looking like a piece of charcoal, as Raging Bull would say.
But no seriousness, go ahead though, good buddy. I'll let you pick first.
I think Tennessee's gonna win 24-14 against Ohio State.
Whoa, okay. Upset alert. Well, I don't know if you call that upset alert. Is Tennessee over Ohio State upset?
Ohio State's a 7.5 favorite. I think the Buckeyes, that's too high.
Is this considered an upset? With Tennessee beating them being upset? I know the way the bracket's seeded, 8-9.
Yeah.
And SC football says he is 21 of 24. The longest year's 50. Okay, he's got a leg on him then. Okay. Yeah, that's something to watch for then. If they got to go kick a field goal, I'd be pretty confident in that then. But say your score again there, good buddy.
Tennessee wins 24-14 against Ohio State.
Oh, wow. Okay, you got a double-digit game. I'll say I'm going to pick Ohio State to win. I think it's going to be a 19-17 Ohio State victory. I think Ohio State's defense forces a turnover late, and they get a touchdown off of it, and they win the game like that. I'm sorry, SC.
Well,
I'm
that
sorry.
Ohio State O-line looks like hell. It looks like hell.
It did. That I almost picked an upset, but something tells me Ryan Day is going to find a way to win this game, and then he'll blow it against Oregon.
Ugh.
That's why I said 19-17. And Ralph Wolf says I'm Wolverines and hate the Buckeyes, but Tennessee is going to get shell shocked. Ohio State is the best roster in college football, and I think they needed the Michigan loss. I just learned something new about Ralph. I didn't know he was a Wolverine.
Yeah.
Cool.
You didn't know? You didn't know he was a Michigan man?
No. But that's a good thing to know, though.
There you go.
I learned something new about him. Ralph, you must be pretty happy then. You must be salivating at the fact Ohio State get kicked out in the first round. Make your Christmas. But we're getting in a bit of an argument here now, Jackson. Their roster isn't better than Bama talent-wise. Well, Jackson, this is your department. Take it away.
Well, it's like we're not gonna get into that discussion tonight. It's like the chat, you're welcome to discuss with each other about it, but it's just like, oh my god.
Jackson's like, no. Bad dog back in the cage. Oh my gosh, he's like, bad dog back in the cage. Like spraying the water, like shoot.
I'm just making sure I get my mind prepared for a lot of things real soon.
I'll say this, and he also says I'll take Tennessee close. Okay, so Tennessee seems to be the popular pick tonight. If Tennessee wins, good. I'll be happy for them. I'll come eat the crow. I just think Ohio State, like Ralph Wolf said, probably will not lose back-to-back home games, but we will see. We will definitely see. And Jackson, I know we made spicy picks tonight. I picked Clemson over Texas. You picked Indiana over Notre Dame. And they may disagree with us, but you know something though, Jackson? You know something? We'll be back Saturday night. The return of Final Whistle is going to be back Saturday night after Ohio State, Tennessee. So any picks that we got wrong, feel free to come back in and let us know. We'll take all the grief. Me and Jackson can handle it. If Clemson gets destroyed, rag on me all you want. That's what I'm here for. I'll take it. I made the pick. I made the choice. If you think Jackson picking Indiana was a bad idea and you want to give him grief about it, he's here. We're big boys. We'll take it.
Yep.
We'll take it. And you know something else though, Jack? If people want to give us more grief, there's a channel that they can do that for, especially for your team, Jackson, because I know there is certain Tennessee fans, maybe Missouri fans. I know Auburn fans. They love to pick on this team. They wish that y'all would just go away. I'm sure LSU fans will come in there talking their smack too. But that's Alabama, the voice of college football. And Jackson, you've got some exciting plans in the works. You've got some beautiful things going. Let the people know what it is. They're dying to hear about it.
Well, Thursday night, of course, which, I mean, it's going to be at 10 p.m. Eastern time. Jeffrey at Only Talk Sports and I will take your calls on the Alabama Crimson Tide, where we go over our takes on what's going on with Alabama. Plus, next Monday, John D'Animo and TJ Ronan, the host of Michigan at the Voice College Football, will join Johnny Burtz and I to discuss the preview and prediction of the ReliaQuest Bowl between the Alabama Crimson Tide and the Michigan Wolverines. And I can tell you something, it'll be a wild ride. But first, check out the 17th edition of Crimson Tide Live, where Johnny and I talk a little bit about the transfer portal and the 2025 SEC schedule. Although, let's be honest, some part of the discussion on the transfer portal kind of felt like a little bit of a new rules segment from Real Time with Bill Maher, but it was hilarious though. But it was hilarious. It was a great discussion, all the same. And of course, there was my latest
Yes.
episode of the Jacksonian with Justin Coos Walker, the host of Coos' Corner, where we discuss quite a little bit about the West Virginia Mountaineers, including the head coaching turnover that has gone on in the football program. And we know that our buddy, our friends at West Virginia are definitely happy about it because, I mean, Pat McAfee's going to be funneling a bunch of money into university, and I think that's going to help as well. And of course, I've got 2 more episodes coming up. I've got episode 57. I will be filming that at 9 o'clock in the morning, but I will have it set for release at 7 p.m. Central Time. And, Thursday night, 2 hours before the Alabama Crimson Tide call-in show. And, of course, there's episode 58 of the Jacksonian with Alan Cole, the beat writer of South Carolina from Gamecock Scoop at Rivals.com. And I can tell you right now that that's going to be a good one right there. We'll be filming that at 4 p.m. Central Time, 5 p.m. Eastern Time. And it's going to be set for release at 6:30 p.m. Central Time, which I would say is a little bit. Yeah, we're going to release it a little bit before Indiana Notre Dame. We'll release it at 6 p.m. Central Time. So that's going to be pretty good. We're going to talk a little bit about South Carolina athletics. So no worries. It'll be a wild ride. And, of course, our friends Joey and Vivette are going through a lot of stuff right now, health-wise. Joey's been going through some stuff to the point where he had to retire from YouTube as a whole. And Vivette has had some health problems as well, where she had a heart attack, Graves' disease. And, our friend Joey, had Alzheimer's. Was diagnosed with Alzheimer's. But, Joey and Vivette, Joey, they've helped us so much over the years. They've helped guys like myself, guys like Austin, Traveling Fools, Tim Prangley, Mark Rogers, Voice College Football, Golden Blue Dude, and so many more people that he had an impact on. Now it's our turn to now it's our turn to help out our friend Joey. And tell your friends about this link, this GoFundMe link, where Joey and Vivette need all the help they can get. Now, you don't have to donate anything. Tell a friend about it. Tell a family member about it. Tell somebody. Tell anybody. Put it out on Facebook. Put it out on X. Put it out on Instagram, TikTok, something, anything. Any link you can find, any social media site, put it on there and tell everyone about it. Let's help our friend Joey.
Yes. And before we promote your stuff, Jackson, SEC football says, so the next stream is Saturday night. Yes. As soon as Ohio State and Tennessee go final, we will be back here live for that. And we will recap the whole CFP slate. And we'll talk about all the games. And we might even do some calls if we have time. We're always down to take calls. And then, of course, we'll make our predictions for quarterfinals later on next week. But yes, our next stream will be Saturday night after Ohio State, Tennessee. You don't want to miss it because it's always a fun time with me and Jackson. And like Jackson said, go support Joey and Vivette. Send them their best wishes. Send them a prayer or whatever you believe in. Or he said, if we lose, SC football says we lose, I'll be too hungover to be here. But that's where we come in. We help you.
We sober
We'll
you
make
up.
you feel better. Yes, we'll make you feel better. We're like those two young hip kids that we're just here. We're young adults that are just helping the world because we got nothing better to do on a Saturday night. Look at us. We're studs and we got nothing better to do on a Saturday night except college football. That goes to show where our lives are at. But in all seriousness, But like Jackson said, send Joey a prayer, send him his thoughts, tell your friends. Let's help Joey get through this time, and hopefully he gets back healthy and he can enjoy life again and enjoy West Virginia football again without having to worry about his health. And maybe one day West Virginia will be in the college football playoffs. I doubt it, but we got to dream. At least for Joey's sake, we could dream. But Jackson, what exciting stuff have you got on your channel coming up besides the ones that you've mentioned, but you can mention again that people need to stay tuned for?
Well, not only do I have my Jacksonian episodes with Big Ten Ted and Alan Cole, I've got some more magic coming up in the works. More Jacksonian episodes. You're going to see a lot of people. You're going to see a lot of sports people, non-sports people on there, especially starting in 2025, where you're going to see more non-sports people. Don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Don't know who it is, but you're going to see them. That I can promise you. And you're going to love them. That I can promise. And of
Yes.
course, you can check out the college basketball recap preview show, which is now nicknamed The Buzzer Beater with Will and D and
Yes.
myself. We will not be having it
Yes.
on next Wednesday because it's Christmas Day, nor on the Wednesday after next because that's New Year's Day. So instead, we're going to air it on Thursday afternoon for the next 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm. But not to worry, though. Not to worry. Me and Jackson, we can tell you, me and Jackson, like we said, we got no life. We'll be here New Year's to recap those games. But go ahead, buddy. Go ahead.
Well, for more information on what I'm up to on the Alabama channel and what I've got planned on my channel and what I've got planned on my show, The Jacksonian, check out the updates on Jackson VOCFB and on Instagram and threads at Jackson Johnson 543908. Stay tuned for more. And Austin, my friend, what have you got going on?
So obviously, Jackson, obviously everyone should go check you out, good buddy, because you do fantastic work. But here on Sports Talk with Austin 2002, I've got upcoming weeks with Jackson, of course. We've got Final Whistle back on Saturday. We've got predictions next Friday for the quarterfinals. We've got Final Whistle, of course, and then we got the semis and championships. Me and Jackson will be here for that. Of course, throughout the rest of the playoffs, we got Bowl Mania recaps coming up. We're gonna be here a while, so if you don't like us, well, too bad. We're gonna be here a minute. But if you like us, then come on back. You're gonna get more of us, and even into the new year. And you can also keep up with me on Twitter if you like. I mean, I'll follow you back if you got one. I talk about the Denver Nuggets. I talk about Louisville. I talk about the Cowboys. And of course, I love me some wrestling. And that I've been watching that since I was 3, since I was in my mom's hands taking a bottle, watching watching the good old days, and I talk about that a lot on Twitter. But with all that being said, though, that's where you can find me and what I'm up to on my adventures, and I'll be here with Jackson, of course. But Jackson, the new era begins Friday. I'm feeling good about it. 12-team playoff. The games are here. Let's have us a winner. Let's go crown us a champion now.
Let's freaking go.
Yes, let's crown us a champion. Good luck to everybody for teams in the field. May the best team win.
There we go. And with that being said, we wish you all a good night and sleep well, stay safe, stay warm. Like, comment, subscribe, click on the notification bell so you never miss no video whatsoever. And we'll see you soon.
Go
Take care,
Cards.
everybody. Roll Tide.